Hey guys, welcome to our special video here. We're going to do a Halloween series review and retrospective. We thought, with the spooky season upon us,
the goblins and ghouls,
and a new film coming out, a much anticipated, film in the Halloween series, we thought it would be cool to kind of sit down, have a little discussion about the series and the fucked up timeline, and there's a lot of issues, a lot of things to talk about.
A lot of terrible movies in this series.
Yeah, this is one of those series that's kind of all over the place, and I also think for some people who maybe have never watched a Halloween movie, they might be thinking, gosh, this timeline's so messed up. Where do I start? What order do these go in? What's going on with this story? So we're just going to kind of have a little discussion on the series.
All right, so why don't we just jump into the best, the original Halloween.
Yes, 1978.
You're going to know a lot. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Classic piece of horror cinema. Maybe the most, actually, it probably is the most successful independent film ever made. I mean, Halloween was an independent film, low budget.
Look at all the sequels it spawned.
Yeah.
You're going to know a lot more about the dates, behind the scenes stuff of these films than I will.
I'm kind of a, pretty
a Halloweeny?
Decent. Yeah, Halloweeny. The original, though. What can be said about it? I mean,
I'm pretty sure it started a bunch of filmmaking techniques.
It did, yeah.
I mean, there's the first person point of view.
Right.
There's so much to this film.
It also spawned a ridiculous amount of imitators.
Any slasher film, really.
Really, yeah. This kind of kick-started that whole thing. The screen debut of Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, which, obviously an iconic character. She's, still to this day, everything that she's done, I personally think of Halloween when I see Jamie Lee Curtis. That's just,
You don't think of Christmas with the Cranks?
No, I don't think of that Freaky Friday remake either. But
wow, forgot about that one.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance.
Oh yes,
let's just talk about that.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, one of my favorite on-screen characters. I think of any. If I was to do a list of like my favorite film characters, I would definitely put Dr. Loomis, right up there on top.
Oh, he's great. I had never seen him in anything else besides this, so this is kind of the image I have of him.
And I know, when they were trying to cast this, like getting Donald Pleasance was a big deal because it's kind of this weird low budget pitch that they're giving him, and when they got Donald Pleasance, it was kind of like, wow, this is pretty serious.
Well, he was a pretty esteemed actor.
Right.
I think I just saw him not too long ago in The Great Escape.
Yeah, he's done tons of stuff.
For an actor of that magnitude to, I guess, sort of come down to that level of independent film, was kind of big at the time.
Yeah, this is, go over the story real quick. Starts off with a young Michael Myers, kind of in a first-person view, which was really badass, and it still is to this day when you watch it. It's very effective, but kind of first-person view of him taking a butcher knife from the kitchen counter, and he walks upstairs and stabs his sister to death, and that's really all you get. You get that, I don't know, maybe it's 3-4 minutes. It's not very much.
And that's what I love about this one.
Yeah,
is you just see him do it, and that's all there is to it. We'll get into it a little later, but
a
lot of the later films tried to explain why he did it, and a lot of the backstory, which is not needed for a character like him.
Yeah, it's so effective just getting that little bit at the beginning, and the rest is up to the viewer to kind of figure out what's going on with this guy. Mm-hmm. So right after that, then you flash forward 15 years later, he escapes, and he's, running around this town of Haddonfield, Illinois, with, a creepy painted William Shatner mask and a big knife.
It just goes to show that you don't need money to make something successful and creepy.
Yeah.
Like you said, the William Shatner mask, they painted it to make it look like that.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Really think about it. There's minimal budget. He's wearing a pair of mechanic coveralls, and he's got a cheap mask that they kind of altered a little bit, and really that's the, there's no blood. You don't really see anything.
No blood, and a simple yet effective score.
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, that's chilling.
I mean, John Carpenter. I mean, self-proclaimed cannot read or write a note.
Right.
So that's why. But yeah,
it is so simple. I mean, it's amazing, and it's so creepy. It's very effective.
I was watching something yesterday and was talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and how that kind of spawned these like gore porn sort of films.
Right.
This film does that a little bit, but it's not like excessive to a point where it's
you really don't
gratuitous.
You really don't see anything until I'd say the last 10 minutes when Lori walks across the street and you see all her friends that have been butchered. I mean, very minimal blood, if any. I mean, it's very, very subtle.
A very effective ending, because a lot of films, like we kind of talked about, they like to show everything and explain everything, but you don't see much of them until the end.
Yeah, I could only imagine being in the theater in 1978 to watch it. I know my parents did. They were there to watch it, and to this day, I've shown people Halloween for the first time, and it's creepy, 40 years later. So
that says a lot about the film. I mean, they're having a whole convention about it.
That's right, Halloween 40-year convention, but a total masterclass of cinema in general. It's actually one of my favorite films ever, probably in my top 5, definitely. So
this was not the first one I ever saw either.
That's wild.
All right, and then 3 years later, we have a continuation, immediate continuation.
Yeah, Halloween 2, kind of a strange scenario with the sequel. It was filmed, 3 years later, but it picks up the same night.
Yeah, which I love.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love Halloween 2. I feel like some people don't really fully appreciate it, but
yeah.
I've always kind of looked at Halloween and Halloween 2 as like one big movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Usually when I watch Halloween, I'll immediately put Halloween 2 in right afterwards. But like we said, it takes place right after the events of the first movie. It's the same night. Michael is still on the run. Laurie is taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, where
okay, the name of it.
HMH, baby. But a good chunk of the movie is in the hospital, and I really love that setting. I've always kind of been into that, and the way it's presented in this movie, because you can tell it's like doesn't really look like a real hospital. There's like 2 people in the whole fucking hospital. Yeah. It's really
no other patients.
No, you don't see anybody else, but it's just kind of these focuses on like this group of teenagers or younger people that are working at the hospital, some EMTs and these nurses that you kind of get to know as characters. But yeah, a good chunk of the movie is in this hospital where Michael is trying to get back in and finish what he started with.
And you still don't know why.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of a single setting.
Yeah.
For a horror film especially, it just adds a certain atmosphere to it.
Yeah, now this was not directed by John Carpenter. He produced it.
And wrote it.
Yeah, wrote it, but was not directed by John Carpenter. Really interesting, The Mask is obviously a big prominent thing in the Halloween franchise. This is the only film the first and second were the only films to use the same mask. And it's actually interesting because it looks like a totally different mask. Doesn't look the same at all, but it is the same mask. The story with that was that it was, after Halloween was filmed, they put it under Deborah Hill's bed. It was just kind of sitting there. She's a heavy smoker, so there's a lot of like smoke damage to the mask, and it really kind of transformed it. Dick Warlock was the shape in Halloween 2, the Michael Myers character, and I think right after Nick Castle, who played him in the first one, Dick Warlock is just as good.
I mean, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, very effective.
And this is where the timeline really starts to get fucked up.
Yes. This is prominent, big part of the series if you're going on this timeline.
Mm-hmm. Very heavy spoilers, obviously, throughout this whole video. But at the end, Loomis blows himself up.
Yeah, he does.
He blows himself up.
He does.
And he also takes Michael with him. Michael, I think it's the last shot. You see Michael burning.
Yeah. Michael manages to walk engulfed in flames for about a good couple minutes.
Yeah.
This was intended as the end of the Michael Myers story. This was it. You can really, when you watch it, Loomis is definitely sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
In the end. They fill the room with gas, and he lights a match, and that's a lighter, and that was supposed to be it. So,
It's not the only time throughout this series where you think it's ended, and
Right.
they find some loophole to make it continue.
And Halloween 2 was also the film that introduced the storyline of Michael and Laurie being brother and sister.
True.
Which you don't know that in the first movie. There's a part in the second movie where that's kind of revealed. It's interesting. There's a lot of different ways you can watch the Halloween franchise. You could watch it as just one and pretend that's the only thing. I know that people do that. Or you can watch 1 and 2, and that's the end of the story. Michael Myers dies, and Halloween 2 he's set on fire. But interesting. I love the film though. I think it's the second best in the series by far.
Agree. But then things get really interesting when you get to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
This is where I think a lot of people get confused with the Halloween series. Have you seen this? Right?
I have. It's been a little while, and to be completely honest, I did not like it.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, I've thought about it. I'm like, okay, I think I know what it is.
I remember, my parents showed me Halloween when I was young. I was always a fan of the series, and I've always have watched Halloween 1 and 2. And I thought that was it, I would see, like, the later sequels, 4 and 5, play on, like, AMC or whatever, but I thought those were the movies, And I remember being at, like, Blockbuster or something, and I saw Halloween 3, and thinking, why have I never heard of Halloween 3? And I picked it up, and you realize that it's in no way related to the events of the first couple films. It's a totally different thing.
They tried to go the way of the anthology.
Which... I would have been on board with that idea.
Right.
It was going to be like a new Halloween movie each year with a totally unrelated story. So I think a lot of people are turned off by Halloween 3 because they go into it expecting more Michael Myers.
I think that's originally why a lot of people didn't like it.
Right. It's really kind of a, underappreciated or just generally underwatched and not really known about film, I guess. It's
bizarre.
Yeah.
But unique.
Yeah, it's its own standalone thing. It's about this Tom Atkins stars and Nancy Loomis, who's also in the first Halloween.
Loomis?
Yeah, Loomis. It's about this evil mask company, Silver Shamrock, and believe me, if you've seen the movie, you'll know that song. It gets stuck in your head.
It does.
Until the day you die.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
But really kind of interesting concept about this evil mask maker and these masks that they're kind of subliminally selling to children with this really ridiculous theme song. But
did you know it's a metaphor?
Yeah, there's a lot of deep meaning in this.
The season of the bitch.
This has grown on me. I actually, like I said, I would always skip over this as a kid, but a few years ago when I got this set, when this set came out, I finally thought, okay, this is my chance to watch Halloween 3, and really, since then, it's become a yearly thing for me. I really enjoy the film.
Well, yeah, directed and written by Tommy Lee Wallace, which is the same guy that did It, the original.
Yeah, he's the same guy that directed the It miniseries. If you can watch this as a standalone thing, and this is a weird movie because I feel like recently it's starting to kind of...
It's starting to have a resurgence a bit.
Well, yeah, it's one of those movies that's kind of getting a cult following years after it's come out, so I enjoy it. It's a Halloween favorite of mine. I watch it every year.
I need to. I've only seen it once, but whew.
Silver Shamrock, baby.
Then things start to get really weird with the timeline. Halloween 4. The Return of Michael Myers.
Can before we even dissect the film, look at that cover art. Now that mask, that looks badass, That's...
Right.
If you've seen Halloween 4, I think Halloween 4 has got the worst mask in the series. It does not look like that at all. I always thought that was funny. They use a totally different... It looks like a shot from the first film, actually, for the
So it's
cover
not
art.
the same as what's in the movie.
Oh, no.
I would not remember the little details.
Oh,
like
really?
that.
Yeah. That mask is cool. That looks like the mask from the first film. But the mask in Halloween 4, I'm sure we'll flash up an image or a video here, but it's very bare bones and weird looking.
This was the first one I ever saw.
Yeah.
And this was back a long time ago when I was very young. Probably saw it on TV, and I dug it at the time.
Yeah.
I really liked the vibe. I think it stuck with me a little bit because, just like Danielle Harris in this film, I was young.
Yeah.
I was trick-or-treating at the time. Really freaked me out.
For some reason, the ones that they play most on TV are 4 and 5. Every year, AMC runs them about 50 times in the month of October. I don't know if it's something with the rights,
Maybe.
They really just drive that movie, into the viewer's head.
Well, this one is the beginning of a separate trilogy, which is the cult trilogy.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think after the disappointment with Halloween 3, people wanted more Michael Myers, so they were kind of like, fuck it, let's, it's a horror franchise. We can do what we want, we can bring him back any way we want. So, yeah, you see the return of Michael here. Donald Pleasance decided to come back. Guess he needed a payday.
Yeah.
Reprises the role of Dr. Loomis. They don't really, they kind of ignore the fact that he was set on fire. He's got some burn marks on his hands.
Which I think is where it starts to become its own little trilogy.
Yeah.
With the Thorn. And the introduction of Danielle Harris.
Do we see the Thorn in the...
I think it's on the TV.
Okay.
I think it's on the TV very slightly, very quickly.
Yeah, it's 4 and 5 where you start to get that Thorn...
But correct me if I'm wrong. So you have Danielle Harris in this film who plays Jamie, correct?
Yes.
And she is the daughter of Laurie.
Yes, this is...
She's the daughter of Laurie, and
Folks, this is where it gets messy.
the daughter of Laurie. She gets taken in by Laurie's sister.
Yeah, I think that's her son.
Laurie's sister, but anyway.
We're led to believe that Laurie is dead.
Right. Laurie's dead at this point.
Okay. They don't really tell you how. Or a car accident, maybe. I don't know if they say that or not.
Right.
Maybe I'm making that up.
I don't know. Yeah, this is when it gets messy. Anyway. Okay, so... Yes, the orphan daughter of Laurie Strode, and the other girl in this is the babysitter.
Right.
And...
I like her.
I do too.
Yeah, she was a good character.
I do too. Ellie Cornell.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm forgetting a little bit of it, but basically she goes out trick-or-treating, and Michael is back. He's back to take out the rest of the Strode family.
The beginning of the film, they take us to some really dingy, super high security, weird mental hospital where Michael's been shacked up for, he's covered in bandages, he looks like a mummy, but as you can expect, he escapes, comes back to Haddonfield, and that's kind of the storyline that he's trying to, take out the missing, the missing piece, the one remaining part of Laurie Strode, I guess. It's a bit of a reach.
Yeah, this one got pretty violent, I remember, and like I said, I just thought it was creepy at the time.
I like the movie.
I
watch it every year.
I think I want to like it more than I like it. I watched it maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
I don't think it's not great. I mean, I don't even think it's good, but I do enjoy the way it captures the Halloween vibe.
The fall vibe,
It does a good job of that. But it's really just, it's a little bit messy, It's, you got Loomis running around. It's like, dude, Loomis needs to just give it up at this point. Just move on to a different patient,
No.
There are some cool things in it, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. One thing that I distinctly remember was at the very beginning when he's in the ambulance.
Yeah.
And he shoves his thumb into the guy's forehead.
I like his escape, at the beginning. That's a cool part.
In my head, my young, naive mind, I always thought that was possible.
Yeah, that you could just...
That you could just, shove your finger into somebody's forehead.
Yeah. And don't forget about the guy from Dazed and Confused. I don't know what his name is. He plays the guy in... he's Brady in Halloween 4. He's the guy in Dazed and Confused. You'll know him when you're editing this. But it's funny seeing him in this. But I don't know. It's, it's weird. Halloween night... Michael's back. He's fucking everybody up.
Isn't this the one where he stabs a guy with a shotgun into the wall?
Yeah.
That's what kind of film we're talking about here.
Yeah, and then, we're obviously going to be spoiling this. These movies are so old, you should know that. But at the end of the movie, Jamie, Danielle Harris's character, puts on a clown suit, kind of, reflecting on the first Halloween film, and she ends up killing her stepmom or foster mom or whoever that is.
She becomes Michael. She takes over, I don't know, the soul or the persona of her uncle.
It's then that we get the first kind of idea that there's some sort of telepathic bond between Michael and his his niece or whatever. And there's just I love Donald Pleasance, but the end of this movie when he sees that Jamie is stabbed, he does. He's like, no. It's the weirdest fucking line delivery I've ever
No!
He's like, no, and he does it like 10 times. So I don't know who came up with that.
Director decision.
Yeah, it's, you know, I would say if you like the first two movies and you're just dying for more of these characters, it's worth watching. Just, you know, don't expect the same quality that you got from the 78 classic, you know. And that applies from here on out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so we've been stupid, but now we're going to get a little dumber.
We're going to just get a little dumber.
Okay, so I will say, if you like 4, you'll probably like 5.
They're like, you know, like Halloween 1 and 2. You have Halloween 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Just 10 times worse and, you know, very convoluted in what's going on.
But then you also add 6 into that.
We'll get to that. Oh, man. Anyways, Halloween 5, the Curse of Michael. No, which one is this? The Revenge? They put all these dumbass, like, taglines, you know? It's just Halloween 1 and 2, and now we need all these little, you know.
Taglines.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching Cinemassacre's version of this, and he was talking about how it's the same exact taglines as 3 of the Pink Panther films.
Oh my gosh, that's very bizarre. Okay, anyways, so Halloween 5. At the end of Halloween 4, we didn't really talk about it, but Michael is confronted by, like, the fucking SWAT team and all the, you know, town hillbillies, and they literally pump about 1,000 shots into him.
Yeah.
Like, they just light him up, boom, you know, it's like a 5-minute thing. He falls back into, like, this stream or this little mine thing, and they throw dynamite down there. This is
Overkill.
This sounds stupid just saying it, but anyways, at the beginning of Halloween 5, you see Michael. He pretty much does like this back float down the down this street. This is so weird. I'm telling you, you know, you'll be seeing it here, but he does like this back float down this little stream, and he ends up at like this hermit's house. This weird, like,
That's right.
oh man,
This is one I know very little about.
Yeah.
But this is when... So the continuation of Jamie's story is now she's mute.
yeah, she's, you know, after she killed her foster mom or whoever the hell that was, I don't even know, but now they've got her in like this, you know, children's hospital, and she's all strange, and yeah, she doesn't talk. So Michael is taken in by this homeless guy, and then like it flash forwards a year, and he's still there. And, you know, you think Michael would be a little grateful for this guy for taking care of him. Now he just fucking kills him.
Of course.
You know, back to Haddonfield we go. So, yeah, now Michael's pissed. He didn't get to Jamie in the first movie. So he's still, you know, he's still after her. Loomis, once again, is back. There's a character in this movie. I don't know. I think her name is Tina. She's like Rachel, the babysitter's friend. She is so effing annoying, man. I'm telling you. She does this thing where she's like, bah, bah. It's really, you'll have to see it, but very cringy character.
I guess this one's very forgettable for me because I don't remember like any of this.
I think Michael is cooler in this movie than he was in the previous one. Like the mask is a little more badass looking.
Yeah.
There's some cool kills in this one. He's got like a big scythe in this barn, and he just, you know, he's kind of a badass, but yeah, kind of the same thing with, you know, he's tracking down Jamie, and he finally gets to her, and they're running around, and there's this weird emotional... This movie, it pisses me off just talking about it. Like, I'm talking about it, I realize how dumb it actually is, but there's this part when she's like, Uncle... And he takes off his mask, and he's, like, crying, but... You can't really see him, like, it's...
You see a tear, right?
Yeah, you can see him crying. It's just like, what are they doing here? And then he realizes, no, this is not me. He puts the mask back on, and he's like trying to get at her, but oh man, it's I don't know, man.
I don't even know if there's much more to say about this one.
No, and probably the dumbest scene in the entire franchise.
Oh my god,
is in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned in the previous one, we're into like this whole Thorn cult storyline here. We find out a little bit more about it in this movie, but at the end, Michael's actually taken into custody. I'm telling you guys, there's a shot of him in jail, but I guess they didn't bother to take his mask or his coveralls off or anything. You literally see him in the jail cell wearing his mask.
Stupid.
Oh man, that's so dumb.
There's so many ways you could have done that. Just make the lighting a little darker.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna do that.
Yeah, it's really weird, but The conclusion of this movie is really kind of where the whole cult thing kicks up a bit, because he's broken out of jail by the Man in Black is the character, the leader of, I don't know if it's the leader of the cult thing or whatever, but it starts to get goofy, folks. I mean, it really does. And
it does. So we'll just sort of transition into 6. Are we at 6 now?
Yes, this is Halloween 6.
The Curse of Michael Myers. Okay, so
this is the conclusion of the cult aspect of.
So, if I recall correctly, it starts on the cult.
Yeah.
Jamie is impregnated.
Well, yeah, she's an adult woman now.
Yes.
She's pregnant with Michael's kid.
How
it's all sorts of
fucking
weird as
stupid
that.
is that? But don't we also learn that the reason that he is the way he is because he's under mind control by the cult?
Yeah.
As like a hitman, basically?
Yeah, they put this curse on him. They put this curse on him. I honestly, like, we might sound like we don't know what we're talking about, but really, I really don't know what I'm talking about. So maybe someone out there is a big fan of this and can explain it better. But
oh no, this is the Paul Rudd one.
Yeah, we see Jamie giving birth and like this ritual thing, and man, yeah.
But the whole thing is to end the line, right?
I guess.
So why would you have a kid when you could have just killed her?
I don't know. Is it?
I have a lot of questions. Like, how are you going to get Michael to bang one out?
It is his kid, right?
Yeah.
We're sure about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll just ignore that. But anyways, Halloween 6, the birth of another fantastic actor, Paul Rudd's screen debut.
Who would have ever thought this guy would be an actor after this film?
And this really shows that they were reaching with this movie. So he's playing the character of Tommy Doyle.
Oh.
Who is the kid from the original Halloween.
See, and
yeah, boogeyman's outside.
Is Tommy Doyle, is he the one that she babysits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the kid that's like being all annoying about the boogeyman the whole fucking movie. So that's Paul Rudd. He's grown up now, and that's his character. And he goes on this really weird speech about 15 years ago, Michael. It's really bad. It's amazing that he turned it. You watch this movie and you'd be like, wow, how did that guy ever have an acting career?
Donald Pleasance is back.
Yeah.
Isn't this the last one he's in?
This was it for Donald Pleasance, and he was looking like he was struggling to get through this movie. This continues on with the whole Strode family. It's like this whole other line of Strodes, that are in this house. The Strodes, but yeah, I don't even know. I don't. This is my least favorite.
I don't
even series.
If I thought I didn't remember anything from 5, I definitely don't remember.
People are probably like, these guys have no clue what they're talking about.
You can't remember everything about a shitty franchise.
I don't like this one, and for a while there, every year I would go through all these.
Yeah.
But now I skip Halloween 6 because I can't even stomach it. It makes me sick.
Didn't this one have an issue with the disc or something for this set?
There was I don't know if it was that one. I know Halloween 4 had some syncing issues where.
Ew.
Yeah. There was a program where you could write in and they would send you a replacement disc. I never got mine, so that's it,
I just remembered from looking at this disc, the producer's cut.
Yeah, okay. This is a whole nother topic. People rant and rave about this producer's cut and how much better it is. I've seen it. Still sucks, in my opinion.
It doesn't make it better.
No.
Isn't there some ritual with the stones in the hospital or something?
Yeah, Loomis finally meets his end in Halloween 6.
As in real life, too.
Yeah, you hear him at the end. It's implied that Michael finally killed him after all this time, but this movie is really just, I don't care for it at all. There's not a whole lot to like. But I know there's a following, so if you like it, hey, more power to you. I'm glad you can enjoy it, but for me, it's bad. It's bad.
Well, why don't we just move right on to H2O.
Okay, now.
So this is the return of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, so now this is where the timeline gets a little, interesting.
Goofy.
So Halloween H2O comes out. I think this was 98 or 99. It was one of those 98, I believe. Okay. There was this weird string of horror films in the late 90s.
Scream.
Yeah, Scream, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, those types of movies. That's what Halloween H2O was going for. It was kind of that sort of...
I get that vibe.
Yeah. That was a weird genre in the late 90s. I don't know what you would call it. Kind of like teen horror.
Coming of age slasher?
Yeah, just like kind of...
high school slasher film.
Yeah, so H2O is intended as a direct sequel to Halloween 2.
Yes.
So what this does is it wipes out Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 6. Thankfully, I like this movie because I hated that aspect of the Halloween series.
Yeah.
So in H2O, Laurie Strode is still alive. Nobody cares about the cult. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Yeah.
So
she's not dead, obviously.
yeah, this ignores all those and is a direct sequel to Halloween 2. 20 years later, we find out that Laurie Strode has been living as under a different name.
Yeah.
She's still traumatized by those events.
Has a kid.
Yeah, Josh Hartnett.
Yep. Who
What
has a
happened to
girlfriend.
What happened to that guy?
Michelle Williams. Oh,
Michelle Williams.
my favorite.
A lot of interesting people in this one. The kid from Jumanji, David Alan Bird or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Dave, I don't know what his name is, but Alan Parrish from...
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in it, too.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And actually the return of the lady that was in the first two movies. I don't know what her character name is. She's the nurse. In the first Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When she's driving with Loomis and she fucks up. And
Yeah.
that lady comes back.
And I will say, probably the best part about this one, because I don't like it, is the inclusion of Janet Leigh, who is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, who was in Psycho.
Yes.
There's a Psycho homage in this film. The
Is there?
same type of vehicle
Okay.
that she
I never knew that.
drives away in
I never
is
knew
the
that.
one from Psycho.
Okay, interesting.
Best part about this film.
Now, see, I like this one.
Do you?
Compared to the shit before it,
Yeah, that's true.
Compare this to Halloween 6, it's like a 4.5-star movie
That's
in my
true.
opinion. Like I said, I didn't like that whole cult aspect of Halloween. I thought it got goofy. It's trying to explain too much. So when this came out, and it's a direct sequel to just the mysterious version of Michael Myers, we don't need all these explanations to him. Obviously, they're still brother and sister in this film, but so the whole kind of concept is she's really protective about her kid on Halloween, and he's like, "Mom, get the fuck over it already, don't let that, rub off on me." And she's like, "You don't know, he's still probably out there." And sure enough, guess who shows up at the private school that she teaches? It's Michael himself.
Of course. This is, I will say real quick, the same vibes that I'm getting from the new one.
Yeah.
Where the daughter's like, "Oh, we'll get over it. He's not coming back."
Yeah.
But
exactly.
But he does.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, but there's kind of a weird, this takes place at like this private school that Laurie Strode teaches at. That's kind of the main setting of the film. I like kind of the whole teenage, 90s.
Angst.
I kind of like that aspect of the movie. Probably my favorite after Halloween 2. I know that's not saying much, but in terms of the...
You mean like main storyline? Not 3?
Yeah.
I can't even say. I really don't like any of them other than the first two.
Yeah, these sequels they're really nothing to write home about, but I think this one does it okay.
LL Cool J's in the film.
Okay, that's very true. But he's not bad. He's like the security guard,
I guess, yeah.
And also the conclusion of this film, Laurie, Michael face to face again. That's like the last 30 minutes. They finally, she's running away from him. But the way this movie ends is badass and really should have been the end of it all. In terms of timelines that we're talking about, I used to watch these as 1, 2, H2O. That's the story.
Yeah.
The rest of them don't exist.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how you would watch them?
Yeah, because H2O, if you watch that, pretend in your head that that's the last movie. The way it ends is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, she chops his head off. It's fucking badass, That's it. She was really strong to swing that axe and
one
decapitate
swoop,
him. Yeah,
which you will never do.
A lot of upper body strength from Laurie, but it's cool.
Yeah. But as I slowly change the films,
they couldn't just end it there. You know that.
We have Halloween Resurrection. Halloween blaxploitation, if I might say.
No.
You got Tyra Banks, Busta Rhymes.
People probably get on me for saying Halloween 6 was the worst when this one exists, and I understand that. They couldn't just leave it as her cutting his head off and that being the end. No, come to find out that wasn't actually Michael that she decapitated. It was
Michael switched his clothes with a paramedic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. So yeah, she actually decapitated a paramedic. So this movie starts off in a mental hospital where Laurie Strode is now kind of all drugged up, and I can't believe Jamie Lee Curtis did this. To be honest, I mean,
she
must have
she
been
got to
payday.
act in a catatonic state, so she's just kind of there.
Yeah. Really, she's not in this.
Forgettable.
Yeah, she's in this for maybe 5 minutes. At the beginning of the movie, Michael shows up at this mental hospital that she's now in, and finally, after fucking after 20-some years, he finally kills his sister.
Gee, great
Yeah.
job, Michael.
He jams a knife into her back, and she falls, and it's all like poetic, but really it's just stupid as hell.
Just let it end.
Yeah, aside from that, I don't like that part of the movie, but I do kind of enjoy the beginning of this film. We're in this kind of nut house, and there's this guy that looks like Chris Farley. We'll show it here, but he looks like Chris Farley, and his whole character is he's obsessed with serial killers, and he sees Michael walking around the mental hospital, and Michael hands him like his bloody knife or something. The guy's like, Michael Myers. And then he's kind of like saying his whole story about, killed 3 teenagers on how it's kind of a cool intro, and then you see Michael walking down the hallway and the iconic theme plays, but let me tell you, after that 5 minutes, total nosedive.
Yeah.
The movie is really not good.
I don't remember anything. I remember Katie Sackhoff. Katie
know.
Sackhoff is the one from Battlestar. Yeah. Yeah, Katie Sackhoff's in it.
Anyways, the plot of this movie is very dumb. Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks, they're running like this TV show.
Oh, yeah.
So they're gonna. This was, I don't know. I guess it was kind of capitalizing on the whole reality show craze at the time.
I think this was going on right around, like, Blair Witch. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of found footage aspects in this film.
Yeah,
So I think they were capitalizing on that a bit.
and that and like reality TV. So the whole thing is they're putting like these 5 or 6 teenagers in Michael's home, and they've got these online cameras, and it's gonna be like
Ew.
a reality show. Thomas Ian Nicholas, Henry Rowan Gardner's
Is
in
he?
this. Yeah. Busta Rhymes, who I mentioned. So, anyways, as you can,
Bust the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. But as you can imagine, these teenagers are running around to this hidden camera show.
I hate teenager movies.
No, and-
One's in this kind of vein.
Yeah, it's just bad. And what do you think's going to happen when these kids are in Michael's home? And
Yeah.
of course they're on camera. Guess who shows up? Michael. He's back to his house because for some reason he has to show up at home in his rundown house.
You're tired of the kid at a keyboard cliche. I'm tired of the kids at a party cliche.
Yeah, this is
Fuck.
man. This is bad. Maybe I should take back what I said about the Halloween 5 having the dumbest scene in the series with the prison thing, because this could be the worst scene in the series. Michael's in this shed at the end. It's on fire. Busta Rhymes comes in, delivers the iconic line,
Trick or treat,
motherfucker,
motherfucker.
and proceeds to use some taekwondo or something to attack Michael.
So you want to be on Dangertainment? Let's see what you got.
Oh my gosh, I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but
That sounds like a Busta Rhymes idea.
yeah, maybe they let
Just
it.
like hey, let me try this thing. Let me try something here.
Busta, we don't know what to do with this movie, so just do whatever you want, and we'll go with
Got
it.
it.
It's over the years it's become like comedy though. It's funny as hell. Like if you watch it and know that it's goofy, it's actually entertaining, but it's not a good movie.
No.
For some reason I watch this every year. Like I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll find some redeeming quality out of it, but nope. Always sucks. Every year it sucks, and it just continues to suck. I think the last shot of this is, Michael's all burnt up, and you see him on like the autopsy table, and of course they open the body bag, and his eyes open up. He's still alive, which I thought was going to spawn more sequels to the original
Yes.
timeline.
Not sequels though, but reboot.
Yeah,
So
and I don't consider this is a separate series in my opinion.
it is. So now we have the Rob Zombie series of films.
Yes, Rob Zombie's a remake of John Carpenter's 1978 classic.
Let me start out by saying, I fucking hate this movie. I think this
hate-
may be one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
It's bad.
It is.
Yeah.
what I talked about at the beginning, explaining too much, this is the perfect example of that happening.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've always been a huge fan of Halloween, so when I heard that he was remaking this, I was on board with it. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm interested in seeing somebody else's take on Halloween. I was there day one in the theater to watch this with a buddy of mine,
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Well, it's more of a stylized version of
Right.
it, which I do like that part. I like the fact it's more stylized.
Dirty.
That's it. It's very dirty.
Yeah.
It's okay. So it starts off with him as a kid,
Right.
with Dag Fairch playing him. Oh my god, this is the worst. I hate when things need to be explained
Well,
too
what-
much.
What John Carpenter's classic 78 film did, Rob Zombie did the total opposite of.
Yeah.
That first movie, like I said, you get that maybe 3-4 minute shot of young Michael.
Yeah.
No explanation. It's left up to the viewer to decide, what is this guy? What is wrong with him? What is going on? Rob Zombie decided that instead of letting the viewer, figure that out, he was going to explain it. And it's about, I don't know, it's like 45 minutes of the film.
It's too much of the film.
Yeah.
These ones are way too long for horror films.
Right.
Almost 2 hours each. And it's lazy writing for one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he kills people because he had shitty dad and a
Yeah.
shitty family.
We almost sympathize with Michael in this
Yeah.
movie. Like, no wonder he became a fucking killer,
Yeah, okay. The scene that I hate the most about this film is the kitchen scene
Oh,
where
yeah.
the dad is like
It's
crying
disgusting.
like a baby.
Yeah.
It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Anyway, so like you said, most of the beginning of the film is him as a kid, and then it skips to him as an adult, I guess, 15 years later or something?
And Malcolm McDowell is.
Ew.
I love Malcolm McDowell. Okay? I mean, I'm a
course.
fan of his work,
Yeah.
but I don't think he was a very good Loomis.
No.
But who would have been a good Loomis cat, in that screenplay? I mean, I just think it was doomed.
Well, don't give him long hair.
Yeah.
Don't make him act like a hippie.
They put, they're trying to flash back to Loomis, and it's like Malcolm McDowell's current wrinkly face with, this shaggy wig on. It's bad. It's bad.
Well, and they even made him a terrible person because he's
Yeah.
trying to profit off this whole story.
Right, and Daryl Sabara's in this film.
Oh, he is.
I think he's Michael's first kill in this film, actually.
Yeah, he is.
Because there's really some vulgar things in this film.
It's
Some of the things the characters say are like, what the fuck?
Let me tell you something, that freak of yours, he needs some serious discipline. I mean, he runs around like a little bitch.
No, you leave him alone. Keep your hands off him.
Give me a fucking break, he's probably a queer. He's gonna grow up, end up cutting his dick and balls off and changing his name to Michelle.
Yeah, the dialogue is terrible.
Yeah.
I hate when it's left to just cussing, just a bunch of fucks. And
But, Rob Zombie's kind of that. I hadn't seen any Rob Zombie's films when I went into this. And I know that's kind of his style. So,
Yeah.
people were probably expecting that. I remember being in the theater watching someone, that first kitchen scene that you're talking about, I'm like, what the hell
Yeah.
is this? He's talking about, fucking the step. I'm just like, what is this,
it's
man?
very gross.
Yeah,
and I just hate it. Like,
And he puts his wife in every movie. You get it, you
Yeah.
love your wife, but she can't act for shit.
and then speaking of the stylized part of it, I don't know if it starts in this movie, but they have this whole white horse.
That's in the second movie, I think.
Yeah,
It starts,
It starts to become all metaphoric and stuff.
yeah.
And
I'm trying to think of any redeeming qualities from this film. I'm trying to think of the girls that they cast to play
Lori's even gross.
She's just generic. It's like
She sucks.
yeah, Danielle Harris. Well, that's an interesting
Okay.
part of this movie. Danielle Harris, who was Jamie in Halloween 4 and 5, returns to play the character of Annie.
Yeah.
In Rob Zombie's remake.
Yeah, and
Nice tits.
I'm trying to figure out how Michael starts as a small little boy, and then 15 years later he turns into a wrestler.
Yeah, and that's actually Tyler Mane is the guy.
Which is a
Yeah, he's a
wrestler.
wrestler. Danny Trejo's in this movie. He's his caretaker in the mental hospital. He's like, "Oh, don't kill me, Mikey. We've been through so it's bad. It's really bad." And like I said, I went into this with some people. When you hear that they're remaking one of your favorite movies, you have animosity towards it.
Yeah.
You're like, don't remake that. I was on board with this. I wanted this to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see a new version of Halloween, but
I like the idea of it,
yeah.
but the execution and
I just
the
think
writing, it's just,
the main downfall of this for me, and I think for a lot of people that don't like this, is like we talked about, too much explanation.
Yeah.
We don't need that. I don't need to know about his childhood. That's not what makes, when you explain everything, it takes kind of the mystery out of it for me.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and another one, just before you switch, I've gone back to this a few times. I just watched this last year. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be okay. I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna find something to like about it. Nope. Horrible.
watched it for the first time last year, and
Don't ever watch it again. Sorry if you like it.
I'm good. But moving on, we have
When you think it couldn't get any worse.
Halloween 2. Okay, so when I watched this for the first time, there was something about the beginning that I liked, and I don't know what. I can't remember what it was.
I don't know what either.
But right before you came over, I was watching the beginning to try and remember. And nothing.
No.
Nothing really hit me.
Nothing.
So this is just like Halloween 1 and 2, the originals, where it starts right after the first one.
Okay.
So
I've got to let you know.
Have you seen this?
I've only seen like snippets of it. The first one turned me off so much I can't stomach to watch this. So.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember too much, but what I do remember, it starts off right after the first one, and Lori she's all kinds of fucked up. So the beginning is her like going to the hospital, getting surgery. It's like really gruesome,
Right.
like gross close-up surgical scenes.
Because we need to see that.
Yeah, and I think I remember now where I started to hate this film, and it's when the ambulance drivers driving him, or the morgue drivers, something like that. One of them starts talking about fucking dead bodies.
Oh, great.
And at that point, I was out.
Yeah,
I could not get back into it. I was gone. And this one starts to really, really take on that metaphoric symbolism with the white horse. His mom is like a white angel with a horse. I guess it's supposed to be used as like a sympathetic tool.
Rob Zombie thought he was like Tarkovsky or something, I guess, with this film.
No, sorry, bud.
Yeah, and what is he trying to do? Why do we need like white horses?
I think he's trying to make it artsy, which, okay, fine. You tried something different. I'll give you credit for that. It just didn't work out too well.
No.
Like I said with the first one, I like the stylized way they were going for.
Yeah.
But I mean, this one is brutal.
Yeah,
Very brutal.
Does any of this is any of this reminiscent of the original Halloween 2, or is there any hospital?
Yes,
Okay.
actually. So it is very reminiscent. It
Okay.
starts off in a hospital.
Right.
So after her surgery, he comes back trying to find her, just like in the second one, chases her through the hospital. And then you have Octavia Spencer,
Ah,
and
I didn't know she was in this.
he pulls a Lizzie Borden and just like stabs the shit out of her.
Wow.
I don't know if he was trying to go for like comedic effect, but after he like stabs the crap out of her, he looks at her. One more for good measure.
Great. One of my problems with these movies, I haven't seen the second one, but just from the first one, was I didn't like the mask at all. It's like half
Decaying.
it's like a half mask that he buried. That automatically was, I was not a fan of that.
Yeah. And I believe this is the first one and only one where he talks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
What does he say?
Well, I think the first thing he says is die.
Michael, for God in heaven.
Maybe that's the only thing. I'm pretty sure he says something else.
Rob-
And they take his mask off
I've
a
seen
lot
that.
in this too.
Yeah. Rob Zombie was so out of touch with these. I mean, Michael Myers is scary because he doesn't talk. And
Doesn't
you
talk.
don't see his face.
Can't see him.
And Rob Zombie decides to show his face and have him talk.
It's the whole too much explanation.
Man.
It's not good. It's pretty much as bad as the original. Well, not the original, as
Right.
the first Halloween. I don't think there's really anything too redeeming about it.
No.
I can't remember much.
I just avoided it because I know it's going to be a waste of 2 hours.
I don't even know what happens at the end.
Yeah. I'm glad
think-
we didn't get any more of these, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because at this point, I would have rather seen more sequels to Resurrection, I would have been way more on board with that than this.
Yeah,
I would rather seen any rapper beating up Michael with Taekwondo than this.
This one tried to go a different direction and just missed the mark completely.
Yeah. So that was it for the Rob Zombie Halloween take.
But that brings us to today.
Yes.
Well, today is in this year.
Today is in this year, and maybe by the time you're watching this, the film has already come out. So, who knows? We're filming this about a month ahead of time before the release.
Halloween 2018.
David Gordon.
How many
Green.
times are we going to have to just go with Halloween?
Yeah.
This is the third one.
This is the third one, and, back to that effed up timeline we were talking about. This is wiping them all out, except for the first one. This is a direct sequel to John Carpenter's 1978 classic. Even ignores Halloween 2, which
kind of sucks, but it makes sense.
A little bummed about that, but who cares? I could, you can still watch Halloween 2. It's almost like a choose your own adventure. Halloween.
It really is.
I mean, Halloween is like a choose your own adventure. You can watch it, pretend there's just the first one. You can pretend there's just 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You can add H2O in there. Or you can go down that whole cult thing. I mean, there's like 5 different ways you can watch Halloween.
So, I mean, if you think about it, it's a perfect franchise.
I mean, there's a lot going on with Halloween. I mean, it's, but we've got a new movie coming out next month. Like I said, you might have already seen it at this point. Direct sequel to Halloween.
I hope it's good.
Well, early word is that it's, it's done a good job. It's an interesting, sequel. So, Jamie Lee Curtis is back as Laurie Strode. Nick Castle, the original actor of Michael Myers, plays him to some extent in this film.
John Carpenter,
executive.
He's back to compose
And executive producer. So on paper, there's a lot of things to be excited about as a Halloween fan. Now, personally, Halloween never needed a sequel.
No.
Pretend none of these existed and there was just Halloween. Awesome ending. That last shot at the end, he's not there. This movie...
That's the ultimate cliffhanger, too.
It is. This movie, come to find out, though, that night he was taken into custody, which, when I read that that's what they were doing and I saw this trailer for this, I was a little turned off by that.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, I always liked the idea that he was out there for all that time.
Yeah.
Like, what has he been doing that whole time? But, I'm kind of on board with how I've seen they've presented it. So he's been in custody this whole time, and 40 years later, he breaks out, and, he's back to Haddonfield. So,
yeah.
Looks pretty decent.
Promising, a lot to be excited about. Let us know.
Yeah.
Down below.
Yeah.
What your favorite is.
Please. There's a whole lot to talk about with this series, and I think we did a good job kind of covering the basis of it.
I mean, you don't even let us know your favorite. Just let us know which ones you like, what you think about them. What's your favorite timeline? If you had to choose your storyline, which one would you go with?
How about you? What do you? Oh, ouch. How about you? Which timeline? what reality would you choose?
Well, I guess it depends on what happens with this new one. But without that one, I would just go 1 and 2.
Okay.
I think that's a perfect 1-2 punch.
Okay.
Almost like a full movie in itself, and I think it just works that way.
I'm with you on there, except I'm going to add H2O into it. I like 1, 2, and then a conclusion 20 years later with his head getting chopped off at the end.
This one is technically H4O.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I'm going to have to wait and see this new one. I love Halloween 2, though. It's going to be hard for me to ever just throw that out.
Yeah.
So I'm a little conflicted there, but, I'm totally on board with what they're trying to do. I'm glad they're going back to the basics, and we're not in this whole, weird cult thing, or we're not doing remakes anymore. And I got to say, the mask looks really cool in the new one. It looks like the first film, just, aged quite a while. So who knows?
We'll see.
Halloween. Spooky.
Ghouls and goblins.
Thank you guys for watching our Halloween series review and retrospective. Like Nick said, let us know your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let us know if you'd like to see us do videos like this for any other series, or, we could do a bunch. So thank you guys for watching. Happy Halloween. See ya.